Hey everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to be making a sweater and I'm going to be making mine in the size medium. I'll be leaving the sizes in the description box below. So for this sweater, I'm going to be using the color Skylight from Impeccable Loops and Threads. I'm going to be using a slightly bigger hook than what the yarn recommends us to use. I'm going to be using the 5.50, a yarn needle, and some scissors. So let's begin. Okay, so to begin, we are going to be making a slip knot to start off. So make your slip knot. And to make the size medium, you're going to chain 63. So to start row 1, we're going to half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So to half double crochet, we're going to yarn over, go into that second chain, pull yarn from that chain. You should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And then do that again, and you're going to half double crochet until the end of the chain. Okay, so now that you're done, you should end with 62 stitches. It should look like that. So to start row 2, turn. And then we're going to chain 1. And repeat the same half double crochet stitches into all of the stitches until the end of the row. And you're going to stop at row 44. Okay, so this is what the back panel should start to look like after you're done with your 44 rows. So to start the body ribbing, chain 1. Half double crochet into that first stitch. And instead of going into that next stitch like usual, you're not going to go into that stitch after that first stitch we just made right there. You're going to do a front post half double crochet. So after that, chain 1, go into that post right there. And this is what it should look like from the front, and this is what it should look like from the back. So once you have it into there, yarn over and pull through that post. Yarn over, you should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3. You're going to do that again for another front post half double crochet. So you're going to have that hook in front, yarn over, 3 loops, yarn over and pull through 3. Now you should have 2 front post half double crochets. Now we're going to do a back post half double crochet. So instead of doing it in the front, you're going to do it from the back. So this is what it should look like from the front. But no, we're going to do it from the back. So it should look like that from the front and this from the back. So you're going to do the same thing but in the back. Yarn over and pull through. Oops. Back post and pull through 3 loops and pull through all 3. And then do that for another back post half double crochet, just like that. Pull through. So you should do, so you have to do that right there. You have to do 2 front posts and then 2 back posts half double crochets. So repeat that until the end of the row. This is what it should look like. It's a bit bumpy and that's what we want. So to end off, we have 2 front post half double crochets. It doesn't matter if you have it in the back or in the front. I have it in the front, but it doesn't really matter. So and go into that last stitch and just half double crochet into that stitch. Yeah, it's that one. Okay. So now you're in row 2 of the body ribbing. Chain 1 and half double crochet into that first stitch. So I don't have any front posts I have the back posts have double crochets. They're facing the back of, they're not facing me. So you're gonna go into that front to that back post, half double crochet. Oops. Go into that back post, half double crochet. Do the same thing again. You're just gonna go into the post. So 2 front posts and 2 back posts. So now that you're done with that row, go into that last stitch and half double crochet. To start row 3, turn and chain 1. Go into that front post again, and you're going to keep repeating these stitches for another row. So we are on row number 3, so you should end off in row 4. This is what it should look like after you're done with your 4 rows of body ribbing. It's looking like this. Okay, so it's now to end off the body ribbing, we're going to chain 1 and slip stitch into all the stitches. So to slip stitch, you're going to go into that first stitch, yarn over. You should have 2 loops, and with that first one, pull through the second one, and do that again and all over this row. So to finish off, go into that last stitch and slip stitch. Then you're going to chain 1 and then pull a lot of yarn, because we're going to be using this yarn to we're going to use this yarn to sew on the sides when we're putting the sweater together. So make sure it's long enough, and then you're going to cut it. So now we're going to make the left shoulder panel. Now we're going to start on the left panel, so chain 21. Once you're done with your 21 chains, we're going to half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. Then we're just going to half double crochet into the end of the chain. You should end with 20 stitches. So start row 2, turn and chain 1. Now we're going to half double crochet into all the stitches until the last stitch of the row. So here I have the last stitch. We're going to place 2 half double crochets into this same stitch, so an increase. So that's 1 and 2. You should end with 21 stitches. So to start row 3, turn and chain 1. We're going to place 2 half double crochets into the first stitch of the row, an increase. And now you can half double crochet into the rest of the stitches until the end of the row. After you're done with row 3, you should end with 22 stitches. So to start row 4, turn and chain 1. I'm going to half double crochet into all the stitches until the last stitch of the row. And now we're going to place 2 half double crochets into that last stitch. So that's 1 and then 2. So that's row 4, and you should end with 24 stitches. So this is what it should start to look like. To start row 5, chain 1, turn and chain 1. We're going to place 2 half double crochets into that first stitch, and then we can half double crochet into the rest of those stitches until the end of the row. Okay, so now that you're done with row 5, we're going to start with row 6, and you should end off with 24 stitches. Turn, chain 1. Half double crochet into half double crochet into the last stitch of the row. On that last stitch, we're going to place 2 half double crochets. Okay, so now that you're done with that row, you should end with 26 stitches. To start row 7, turn and chain 1. Place 2 half double crochets into the first stitch. Then half double crochet into the rest of the stitches until the end of the row. So now you're done with row 7. Turn, chain 1, and fasten off. Pull yarn and cut. And there you have your finished left panel. Now we're going to make our right panel for shoulders. So to make the right panel, the right shoulder panel, make a slip knot and chain 21. Okay, so now that you're done with your 21 chains, we're going to half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. Then we're going to half double crochet into the rest of the chains until the end of the chain. So now that you're done with row 1, this is what it should look like. You should end with 20 stitches. To start row 2, turn and chain 1. We're going to place 2 half double crochets into the first stitch. We're going to make an increase. Then we're going to half double crochet into the rest of those stitches. Okay, so now that we're done with row 2, you should end with 21 stitches. Turn and chain 1. You're going to half double crochet into those stitches until the last stitch of the row. Place 2 half double crochets into the last stitch of the row. You should end with 22 stitches. To start row 4, turn. Chain 1. Place 2 half double crochets into the first stitch of the row. Then we're going to half double crochet into the rest of the stitches until the end of the row. To end row 4, we're going to place the half double crochet into the last stitch of the row. Then to start row 5, turn and chain 1. This is what our right panel should start to look like. It should have this shape of form to match with the left shoulder panel. So now we're going to half double crochet into the stitches until the last stitch of the row. So now that we're at the end, we're going to place 2 half double crochets into that last stitch of the row. 1 and 2. So now we're going to start row 6. Turn and chain 1. Place 2 half double crochets into that first stitch to make the increase. Then you can half double crochet into the rest of the stitches until the end of the row. Okay, so row 6 is going to be our last row of half double crochets for this right panel. we're going to start to make row 7 as our joining row of where we're going to join the right panel with the left panel to create the front panel of the sweater. Half double crochet into the rest of those stitches until the end of the row. Here I'm going to place 2 half double crochets into that last stitch of the row. So make the increase and before we are going to join the rows. So now bring out your left panel. We're going to make 10 chains to be able to connect the right panel with the left panel. That's what our right panel should look like. Now we're going to half double crochet. We're going to place 2 half double crochets into that first stitch of the left panel. So yarn over, and then you're going to place 2 half double crochets into that first stitch. Make sure your chains aren't twisted when you are half double crocheting, because then it becomes a problem. So that's 1 and then 2. And then you're just going to half double crochet into the rest of those stitches until the end of the row. This is what the joined shoulder panel should look like. So here I have my right panel and my 10 chains, and then my left panel. So now turn and chain 1. Here I have a second strand, which is the strand that I cut off when I was finishing off the left panel. Make sure not to cut off a long strand. I'm just going to be sewing that into my stitches. So chain 1. Don't worry about the strand, you don't have to do this. You can just cut it off if it's bothering you. Place 1 half double crochet, and well, actually you're just gonna have to half double crochet into all the stitches into the panels and to the 10 chains. Make sure to half double crochet to row 44 if you are doing a size medium, to be able to get the same number of rows from the back panel. If you did a different size, make sure to finish off the front panel with the same number of rows from your back panel so that you have an even look. Here I have my finished front panel. Here I have it with the full stitches. So now we're going to create the body ribbing. Same procedures as the back panel, so turn and chain 1. Then we're going to do our first half double crochet of the row. Then you're going to front post half double crochet into that front post right next to that chain 1 space. So that one right there. Remember, this is what it looks like from the front, and this is what it looks like from the back. So then once you have your hook in through that post, yarn over, and then you should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 3. Repeat that for the next front post half double crochet. Now we're going to do our back post half double crochet. So stick your hook through that back post, through that post, and that's what it looks like from the back, and this is from the front. So then do the same thing from the front post, but just backwards, like you're working backwards. So remember, there's 2 front posts, and then you have to have your 2 back posts for 4 rows. So now that you're done with your 4 rows, turn and chain 1. Now we're going to slip stitch into all the stitches until the end of the row. And then we're going to fasten off. So here I have my finished front panel with its body ribbing and the neckline. This is what it should look like, all finished. Now we're going to create the sleeves. So to begin, we're going to create a slip knot. And for the sleeves, we're going to start with the ribbing, and then we're going to make the regular half double crochet stitches. I'm going to be chaining 23. So once I have my 23 chains, I'm going to half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. Then we're just going to half double crochet into all the chains until the end of the chain. So here I have my 22 stitches. Turn and chain 1. We're going to half double crochet into that first stitch, and now we're going to create the ribbing. So after that chain 1 space, you're going to go into that first post. It was a bit hard for me to get into. Finally got in. And we're just going to create the same ribbing as we did with the back panel and the front panel, so you should already know these steps. So 2 front posts and then 2 back posts as well. So here I am at the end, and we're just going to half double crochet into that last stitch of the row. This is going to be the start of our ribbing of our sleeve. So turn and chain 1, then we're going to half double crochet into that first stitch as always. Go into those posts, front posts or back posts, whichever one you have. After you're done with row 5 of half double crocheting your front post and back post, we're going to create the sleeves with the half double crochets. So half double crochet into that first stitch, and then we're going to place an increase into the second stitch. So remember, there's 2 stitches in one. Then for the next stitch, you're going to do a half double crochet. Next one, 2 half double crochets. So repeat the pattern of one half double crochet, then 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. This is what it should look like, and we should be increasing to be able to get a nice wide look, to be able to fold the sleeve in half and have our sleeve complete. For this one, you're going to turn chain 1, and you're going to do 3 half double crochets into the next 3 stitches. After those 3 half double crochets, you're going to place 2 half double crochets into the same stitch after those 3 half double crochets. And just repeat that pattern all the way to the end. This is what the sleeve should start to look like. It should have a rainbow kind of shape. And it's a bit bumpy, but once we start to make more rows, it'll straighten out eventually. So turn and chain 1 to start row 8. Now we're just going to create the simple half double crochets to create the desired length for your sleeve. Here is my finished sleeve. For example, I did 53 rows to get my desired length because I wanted the sleeve to be a bit longer. Now I'm going to show you how to close it in. I have an example right here, the second sleeve of the seam of where we're going to close it in for this arm. So grab the yarn that you use to fasten off with, as I told you with the back panel, that you should be leaving a long strand of yarn. So just go into each chains. I'm not entirely sure if I don't know how to explain this, but please try your best to follow along with what I'm doing. Here I have my finished sewed on sleeve. This is what the seam should look like after you have finished it off where the ribbing starts. And we're going to flip the sleeve inside out so that we don't see the seam anymore of where we sewed it on together. So make sure you are flipping the sleeve inside out. It was a bit tricky for me, but I got the hang of it. So once you have flipped it inside out, you see we can't see where the seam is, and it has a really nice finished look, and that's what we want when we have our sweater put together. Repeat these same steps for 2 sleeves. Here I have my front panel in front of me and the back panel right underneath it. So now we're going to be sewing on the shoulder parts next to right on top with the back panel. So I cut off some yarn, a long strand of yarn, so I wouldn't have to be cutting a lot of yarn, so I could use it for both of the panels. So we're going to go into those first stitches and sew it together. For me, it's a bit uneven because the shoulder panels are going to be folded when I wear it. You guys might have the same problem, or if you don't, pretty lucky, if I do say so myself. Just leave a strand behind because you're going to need that to be able to tie a knot for you to be able to secure the panels without getting undone. So just repeat the same steps onto the panels, and here I have my left panel complete. Now I'm going to be showing you guys how I sew everything off. So right here I went into like 1 or 2 stitches and I left a big loop so that my yarn needle can go through it to be able to create the knot. And then you're just going to pull tightly. You might want to do like another knot to be able to be sure that you made it nice and tight. And once you have it, you can just cut off the strands, and I'm going to just cut off those strands so that we can sew on the sleeves. So here I have it all complete on both sides. So now we're going to be sewing on the sides with the sleeves as well. So here I left a gap of where the sleeve is going to go. I put a stitch marker and clipped the front and the back panels together so that they wouldn't move as I am sewing on the sides. So with the yarn that I'm going to be using from one of the panels, I'm going to be sewing on the side, and I'm going to be stopping to where the stitch marker is so that I don't go over and leave such a tiny hole for the sleeve. So just keep sewing on the sides, the same steps that I tried to show you while I was sewing on the sleeve together. And just repeat that until you hit your stitch marker gap of where your sleeve is going to go. And I did that for both of the sides so I wouldn't have to do it again and make it a bit confusing. Okay, so now that you're done with that first part of the side, now we're going to complete the the side by sewing on the sleeve to where I hit the stitch marker. So I'm going to take it off so that I'm able to sew on the sleeve to the back and the front. So I'm going to be sewing it on first from the bottom. You guys can do it from the bottom or from the top, whichever side you prefer, whichever side you prefer to start on. I'm just going to be starting on the back side. So just do the same thing and make sure you get the where you put the needle through the back or through the sleeve first. Make sure to get it on one of those. So as I'm trying to show you guys right there. Okay, so once you hit that corner end of once you're done with the back or front, you're going to turn around and stitch it together. Just make sure you secure it off correctly and repeat that for the next sleeve. So here I have my both sleeves put together. I flipped it inside out. Oh, also another thing I forgot to mention, flip your sleeve inside out before you sew it together. But now we're going to be making the collar, and you could just leave it how it is if you don't want the collar, the collar. You can just leave it like that and you're done. But I'm going to want the collar. It's the same thing as the body ribbing, or the sleeve ribbing. We're going to put that on the collar, on the neckline. So here I am going to choose, I'm going to make sure I'm in the middle, in the center of the neckline, and I'm using a number 6 hook so that the neckline is a bit looser so that my head is able to go through the hole. Find the center and then put your hook through there. And then grab your yarn. Pull your yarn through, and then you're going to make a knot to secure the yarn. And then put your hook back through that same place. You're going to chain 1. And then we're just going to be doing single crochets all around the neckline. You're going to stop until you hit the first stitch you made. You can also just leave the neckline as it is, as I said before, or you can also leave it with the single crochets that we're going to put it on there. You can do the single crochets and you could just be done with the collar for the neckline, and you don't have to be doing any ribbing if you don't like it or if you don't. With the single crochets, you're just going to do the front post, and I have 4 rows right here. You're just going to do the same things from the neckline ribbing, and to finish it off, go into that first stitch, slip stitch, and don't cut off a long piece of yarn. So I'm just going to cut mine. Don't cut it so long, leave it short. And then you're going to pull and tighten. You can weave in your end afterwards, or you could just cut it. I'm going to do that a bit later. But there you go. This is the complete sweater. Here we have the neckline ribbing, your body ribbing right down there. And then we have our sleeve completed. And that's about it. And I recommend washing it and ironing it so that you have a nice feel, because it's stiff right now since you just crocheted it. So make sure to wash it and iron it on delicate so that you have a nice soft feeling and it's easier to use. And I'd just like to say thank you so much for everyone who stayed to the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like if you like this video. Subscribe for more content like this. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Bye.